Edward Wadie Said, born on 1st November 1935, mandatory in Palestine, died on 25th September 2003 in New York, USA. Edward Wadie Said said, "We cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed with weapons of criticism and dedicated consciousness." Edward Wadie Said was a professor of literature at the Columbia University, a public intellectual, and a founder of the academic field of post-colonial studies. A Palestinian American born in mandatory Palestine, he was a citizen of the United States by way of his father, a U.S. Army veteran. Edward Wadie said, "We cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future, until we are armed with weapons of criticism, armed with weapons of, not weapons of, armed with weapons of criticism and dedicated consciousness. Super statement. We cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed with weapons. We are armed to arm ourselves with weapons of criticism. A pint of shit in a cup of vanilla ice cream. The smallest dirt in your body, smallest dirt what you see outside, which dislocates your family structure, which dislocates your tradition, which dislocates your samskriti, your culture, should be criticized, should be attacked. To attack, you cannot attack when you're alone. That can happen only if you are having a tradition of 1,000 years of a family tree. And they knew the moment they break it into pieces, they broke it already. Now it is very, very difficult to connect the link, but it is very, very easy to connect the links. Now, from now you start also, it is possible. We cannot fight for our rights. Nobody is fighting for their rights. Even if they fight, they'll beat you into pulp, throw you into the jail and make you a nobody. We cannot fight for rights and our history. Even for our history. Whose history? They encouraged intercaste marriages, they encouraged interreligious marriages. They thought all that will break it into pieces to create a new world, but the world has suffered because a cracked bell never sounds well. They knew, they believed. We cannot fight for our rights as our history, as well as future, Future also, there is no future. Everybody is hand-to-mouth existence. It has reached that stage, otherwise from where the dangerous coronavirus and other diseases keeps attacking. And we have no resistance power. Our resistance power lies in our family connections. Our resistance power lies with the Guru Shastras. Our consciousness and our samskriti lies with our joint family, with our culture. We cannot, Edward Wadie said, we cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed with weapons of criticism. Armed means when you have a family, you can work very, very hard. As I said, Indus Valley civilization, nothing was in written form. Greek civilization flourished because everything was in written form. Indus Valley crushed into pieces because we forgot to keep it in writing, because we said we do not want publicity. We are not looking for publicity. We should not, what the right hand gives, the left hand shouldn't know. All that stories they kept on brainwashing, and the right hand did not know, the left hand did not know. Nobody kept a record to how many people you helped and what you did, etc. Because that was against our samskriti. Who told you about that samskriti? I suspect that the invaders must have poisoned some of our priests and our saints and our Swamijis, and they must have got carried. It should be written. Everything should be in written form for the next generation not to suffer. We cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed with weapons. So to criticize also, you need a powerful body. To criticize, you need to work very hard. To work very hard, you have to have a passion for your own land. The land was not available. They disconnected the land. They disconnected the family tree. Now what is left? I do not know. I'm just getting confused. They made so many slaves in the society. Huge amount of people are enslaved in the society. Until we are armed with weapons of criticism. To criticize, you need a massive backing of your family, your relatives, your family. They sit together, eat together, praise together. They couldn't allow you to sit even together. The wife was given night duty and the husband was given day duty. The children were sent to the school. By the time children comes back to the house, they have the tuitions, competitive exams. They will get a job. You have to get a job. Loot all the money, squeeze all the money from the parents. You give the salary from this side. By the time they turn around, they see KFC and all the things arranged, and the loan people standing and tell, madam, this one, and even including your house. You take the house on loan, your car on loan, your TV on loan, your kitchen items on loan, even your underwear is on loan, and you die to return that money back. The moment you take your salary, the moment you see your child, the moment you take your salary, not even a second it stands in your hand. They made you a nobody. You lived in fear. Until we are armed with weapons of criticism. Who can criticize? People start shivering to criticize. The moment you criticize, police will come and knock on your door. Or there's a gang involved to attack you, to suppress you, to shut your mouth. Unless we are armed with weapons, criticism, and dedicated consciousness. You have to be conscious. What is consciousness? Consciousness has become a dead thing now in the society. Nobody is conscious. Everybody thinking they are conscious. Their only consciousness is trying to sit in front of the TV and listen to the nonsense which has been thrown 100 times, said a lie, becomes a truth. Adolf Hitler understood. He said it, and all the political leaders are those dedicated disciples of Adolf Hitler. 100 times said a lie. And they use the media to continuously bombard people, so they do not have consciousness. Even the doctors do not know to make a deep, intimate relationship with the patient. Their consciousness, only the medical representatives comes and hands over the medicines and said, this you prescribe, and they prescribe. People all have become like guinea pigs to be researched by a group of gangsters. Edward Wadie said, we cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed with weapons of criticisms and dedicated consciousness. As a cultural critic, Said is known for the book of Orientalism, 1978, a critic of the cultural representations that are the basis of Orientalism. How the Western world perceives the Orient. Said's model of a textual analysis transformed the academic discourse of researchers in literary theory, literary criticisms, and Middle Eastern studies. How academics examine, describe, and define the cultures being studied. As a foundational text, Orientalism was controversial among scholars of Oriental studies, philosophy, and literature. Besides honors, memberships, and postings to prestigious organizations worldwide, Edward Wadie Said was awarded some 20 honorary university degrees in the course of his professional life as an academic critic and man of letters. Edward Wadie said, we cannot fight for our rights and our history as well as future until we are armed. To be armed with the weapons of criticism and dedicated consciousness, we have to go back to our house. Not to the clubs, not to the bar, not to the seminars. Our meeting place is right inside the house. Yes. When you have the meeting right inside your house, You have a deep, intimate relationship with your wife and husband and children, and you disconnect the children from going for tuition classes. The children are next to you. You have a fixed routine of your yoga class morning. You get up morning 4:30. You do your Surya Namaskar looking into the sunlight. You have embraced the nature, and then you have a land where you understand what is rainwater harvesting. Rain, sun, wind. The moment you disconnect all these things, so when you disconnect all these things, even J.D. Krishnamurti said, when one loses the deep, intimate relationship with nature, then temples and masjid, then churches becomes very important. Yes, other things who are controlling you, you allowed somebody to be controlled. You like somebody to control you. You wanted to become a slave. At the same time, you walk around thinking, I don't care, and something nonsense comes out from your own mouth, and nobody listens. We can come out from that by just going back to our Sanskrit. The morning when you get up, drink 5 glasses of warm water or room temperature water before you brush your teeth. After you brush your teeth, use your finger to press the gums. Gargle the mouth with rock salt water. Nostril blow out. Come back into your Kapalapati stomach pumpings. Do your Surya Namaskar. Yes. Then you move. Surya Namaskar. 108 Surya Namaskar. If you can do, you can finish in 40. 108 Surya Namaskar, you can see not a pint of shit in a cup of wine. Your whole body, you're removed. We are armed with weapons of criticisms. Yes. Until we are armed with weapons, to arm the weapons of criticism, the body has to be strong with 108 Surya Namaskar. And the pranayama, where you can hold on to your breath, you understand. Yes. When to hold and when to give. This is my 190th short discourse.